Welcome back, travelers. This Worth It video is going to be a little different than my other ones. Usually in reviews, I tell you if the game is worth buying at the beginning of the video so you don't have to go through the whole thing before finding out. However, Tales of the Shire is nuanced because the game is unfortunately not optimized for all machines, meaning that some players are giving this game an 8 out of 10 and others are giving it a 3. So to start off my review, I'm going to go with just the facts, ignoring anything to do with how the game looks or plays on your computer. I'm just going to talk about the gameplay itself and the story. Then I'll get into how the game might differ for you as an individual. I know that there has been a lot of negative comments about Tales of the Shire, but I actually really love this game. As a fan of Lord of the Rings and hobbits in general, I'm really enjoying exploring this world. The hobbits are sometimes snarky and gossipy, just like hobbits should be, and the gameplay is a bit repetitive, but that's what a hobbit's world is. Hobbits eat, drink, be merry, and then talk about each other. So if you're going into Tales of the Shire and expecting this huge adventure dialogue because it's Lord of the Rings, you are going into this game with the wrong mindset. Yes, there is an overarching storyline about making the town a village. Gandalf does appear, and Gandalf sounds like Gandalf with his wizard riddles, so to speak. But at its core, the game is about making food and making friends with that food. So you forage, you garden, you fish, and you cook. Then you invite the villagers over to your home or various places along the map to have them be better friends with you because you sat down for a meal together. The cooking mechanic is a little confusing to get used to at first because it is a little complicated, but once you're actually used to how it works, it becomes fairly simple, and you unlock more cooking utensils as the game goes on. So it's not like you start with everything that you need, you do level up, so to speak. This is done through clubs. There are clubs for gardening, fishing, cooking, and foraging. And as you progress your levels with these skills, you gain new things like expanded backpacks and more garden space. So the game does grow with you as you play through the seasons. The seasons in the game are also beautiful, so it really does feel like time is passing by. The problem with the game, I think, for some people is that they're not prepared for how slow the life is. A lot of the games we have now are allowing us to min-max or get somewhere fast, and Tales of the Shire doesn't do that. But I don't think that we should expect it to. It's literally about hobbits. If you know anything about hobbits, their life is exactly what the game brings to us. We just have to learn to play a little slower. When it comes to decoration, you have a lot of options. It's just that, again, you unlock it as you play the game. But your core Hobbit house comes with a lot of customization options, even some that a lot of players missed, like the beams in your home can be customized. All the little pieces of trinkets and fodder and baubles can all be moved around wherever you want them to go, inside or outside. Even the pantry, which starts empty and then visually fills up as you put items in or take items out, it will empty, I think is one of the nicest touches in the game. The map of the world marks certain forageables for you and keeps others a secret, so you do have to explore to find some on your own. The fish don't require you to be in one particular location to catch them, as far as I can tell. It's just summer seasonal. I will say the fishing minigame is the most obnoxious. All in all, it's actually really simple, but when you cast your line, it's really hard to keep your mouse where you want it to go because it's so sensitive, and that cannot be changed. You may find yourself recasting your line quite a bit, and if there was one thing I would change immediately, it would be that feature. When it comes to currency in the game, it's really interesting because you can sell everything except for cooked meals, and you don't actually have to sell things. A lot of what you need can be done through a trading and barter system with various hobbits. You can trade forageables for jam, then trade that jam to another hobbit for flowers, use the flowers to grow better food in your garden, and then sell those to the farmer. The world is actually really robust once you take a moment to look at it. The downside is that the UI is not really intuitive, especially on a mouse and keyboard. On a controller, it makes a lot more sense. But then the game doesn't play as well on the Switch. It plays and performs a lot better on computers. So it's almost like they weren't sure what platform they wanted the game to best function on and kind of got stuck in between. And this is what leads into me talking about optimization and performance of the game. Most of the issues are coming with the fact that the game doesn't perform well across all devices and computer builds, which sucks because if this game was better optimized, it would have really hit in the way that we all thought it was going to. On some machines like mine, the game runs phenomenally, but on some machines like my friend's, it stutters. It's got a lot of framing issues, even though our settings are identical, or they lower their settings, thinking their machine just can't handle it. Of course, for some, this is a bigger issue than others. A lot don't mind just lowering the settings and enjoying the Hobbit life, and others, this is a really big deal because you paid money for a game, you want the game to look good. I really think that when it comes to Tales of the Shire, it's a personal opinion basis more than it is a facts basis. Because the facts are, the game is actually a lot of fun once you sit down and let yourself enjoy the Hobbit life. However, it's hard to do that if your machine doesn't run the game well. There are also a handful of people reporting that the game makes them really motion sick. And this has a lot to do with the telescoping camera effect on the character, which cannot at this time be turned off. The camera also bounces off of some environment, but not other pieces of environment. So it's a little bit confusing of when the camera is going to zoom really far into your character and then snap back out on a repeated basis. And that can make your head hurt. These, of course, are all things that can be fixed, and I hope that we give Tales of the Shire enough of a chance that they can be fixed. And I know the argument is going to be that the game should have never been released until it was really good. But this day and age, I just don't expect that with games, especially not ones that aren't provided a huge budget and a lot of people working on it. Because the other thing I heard is that the studio is lacking and they were rushed. The date was already pushed back and probably should have been pushed back again, but the investors want to make their money. So the game has to come out to make that money, and we have to support it if we want to see it do better. That is unfortunately the state of the games industry. I wish it wasn't, but it's just how it is right now. When it comes to the story and the gameplay, that's all opinions based. A lot of people play it and say it's not what they were looking for and then return the game. But there also are a lot of people enjoying this. It just so happens that when people have negative opinions about something, they like to talk about it more, and it gets more clicks on social media. So positive opinions don't hit the same way. But for me, I'm having a really good time with Tales of the Shire. I love the characters. I love the character customization. I love the home and the home customization. Figuring out the cooking mechanic and how all the flavors combine and items and ingredients is really fun. It's a lot more complicated of a cooking system, but the whole game is kind of based around cooking and serving meals, so I expected that. At the end of the day, I think it's a game where you need to create your own opinion. I can give you my ranking on it, but until you personally try it, you really won't have an idea if this game is working for you. But that's what refund policies are for. So I'll give you my final verdict. If you're not a Hobbit and Lord of the Rings fan, the game right now is probably at a 6 to 6.5 out of 10, as long as it runs well on your computer or various device. If you are a Lord of the Rings fan, and Hobbits in particular, then I would say the game is probably an 8 to 8.5 out of 10, especially if it runs well on your computer. And before I end the video, let's answer some really frequently asked questions while I've been streaming the game. Is it multiplayer? No. And as far as I know, they don't plan to do multiplayer, but the world does kind of look like there could be that option. Can you romance other hobbits? No. And honestly, I don't think that you should be able to. It's hard to keep within the lore of the game and let hobbits romance each other. Plus, I think people really need to start understanding that friendship is just as important as romantic interests. Not everything has to do with who you get to smooch. Don't get me wrong, I also love smooching video game characters in video games. But sometimes we don't need that to make the game what it is. Does the game feel like Lord of the Rings? Yes. One of the biggest bonuses to this game is that it was created, obviously, by people that love the franchise. Hobbits sound and act like real hobbits. Gandalf speaks like Gandalf. I wouldn't be able to place this Gandalf against book Gandalf and be able to tell who wrote what. Well, I probably could, but it's just that good, okay? Is this video and my gameplay on Twitch biased because of how much I love Lord of the Rings? I would say probably it kind of has to be, but I'm really critical of the way that we make this world and expand upon it. Though I'm also someone who really loves Rings of Power, so do with that information what you will. To end it out, is Tales of the Shire worth it? In my opinion, yes. But if you get the game and it doesn't work well on your computer, or you just don't like the way it looks and plays on the Nintendo Switch, simply refund it and write a review of why. But give it a positive if you want to see it do better. Negative reviews don't help as much as positive reviews with details included. Thank you for being here, and if you found the video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you feel like it, but most importantly, have a very magical day.